Greetings, my name is Jim Colonna, I'm a composer, and this is my YouTube channel. This piece was commissioned by the Greater Harrisburg Concert Band. Dave Getz is the president, and my colleague and chair of the music department of Massachusetts University, Dr. William Stoneman, is the conductor. This is a band that meets every summer. It's a very accomplished community band. It's a very fine community band. And when I was challenged to write the piece, the question was, how do I write a piece of music for outdoor use? Because most of these concerts are going to be performed outside in a park. The acoustics aren't going to be great. The minimal percussion that's going to be used because of the obvious thing of travel and bringing instruments. So I decided, okay, well, I need to figure out something. And that was in October. And November passed, December passed, January passed, and we're getting closer and closer to the summer. And finally, we get to the end of the semester, and it's May. And one day I sat down and thought, okay, I gotta do something. So I sent a message to Bill Snowman and I said, hey, what type of piece are you looking for? And he said, well, we know that you really love and enjoy Italy and your Italian heritage. How about something Italian? And I know in his mind, he was thinking something like Italian folk songs set in the style of river songs by Pierre LaPlante, or any of those pieces by Claire Grunman, American songs all put together in a big medley, or just a song set in a certain way. And I decided, no, I wasn't going to do that. So I needed to come up with something that was original, that could be based on an Italian form of music, or a style of music in this case. So I decided I was going to write a Tarantella. Now, when I was a little kid, the first time I came across a Tarantella were in my sister's piano books. I think they were John Shaw's books. And in those books, there's a story about a boy getting bit by a tarantula and then is told to dance out the poison, and that's why we have this dance. Now, whether or not that's true, and probably not advisable to do for that matter, I decided that I was going to write this piece as a Tarantella. And I was traveling again for the college. This one was begun in an airport because I knew I had this much time. And I needed to get this thing done and to the band so they could have it for their first rehearsals in June. I was flying back from El Paso, Texas, and I was sitting in the Vegas airport, not feeling very well. As a matter of fact, was coming down with COVID, and decided that I was going to come up with something, anything. So I sat down and I wrote the opening unison. Right, concert F's, dum 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 dum. I was like, okay, great, got it. That's where I'm starting. Well, that's obviously not where it went. So I began thinking about ways to write a piece of music that was traditional, that would sound good outside, that had traditional ABA form, ABC form, type of tarantella, rondo type of thing. And I wanted it to be kind of predictable, but at the same time, I didn't want my harmonic language to be as normal as would have been expected for something like this, not diatonic necessarily. So I decided I was going to use the octatonic scale and create a melody that was purely octatonic that I could fit over a driving ostinato in 6/8. And when that started to happen, when I started playing with the scale, then I started to hear the orchestration. I could hear how it's going to begin with this little intro, it's going to become a trumpet solo, and it's going to sort of tell the story of the Tarantella. So in the first half of the piece, you have the presentation of the theme in the trumpet solo. Then the band recaps it, and we get all this stuff going on that is very common to a Tarantella. We get to the point where we need a B section. When we get to the B section, we arrive and everything stops and everything starts to become poison influenced. So I was imagining if you were to be struck by a tarantula or any poisonous being, that poison's going to flow through your body, and it could probably cause hallucinations, especially if you have a really high fever. So I'm imagining now what it would feel like to be in a hallucinatory state because of the spider bite. And that's why we get these things that are happening through this movement. You have horns doing these wavy sounds, a little woozy, and then this driving idea of the octatonic keeps coming back. These da-ya, 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 always following the octatonic pattern. Sudden strikes, sudden things in the piece that make you realize that you are in this dreamlike state. And then at the end of the dreamlike state, you've found your medicine and you're back to dancing and trying to get rid of this poison. And it's set again in a way where we have these entrances that are polyphonic, not necessarily fugal, but just different pitch levels. When that starts to happen, it just creates the more energy and more intensity in the work. And then eventually I get to a section where I just wanted to see what would happen. Honestly, it was totally an experiment. If I created a Darth Vader moment. So there's one statement where the opening part of the melody has this yada-da-dum, da-dum, da-da-da-dum, dum-da-da-dum, very John Williams, very Darth Vader present type of thing. The idea of evil, this tarantula poisoning this poor child or this person, whatever the case may be. And then, of course, it takes it back into its traditional Italian form, becomes semitonal, some chromaticism here and there, and then we end the piece. And the piece ends triumphantly, so yes, whoever was struck by this spider is alive. But it's a journey, so it has an intro, it has the solo, the presentation of the main theme, has a development section that is hallucinatory, that's all octatonic, and then it recaps itself in some traditional manners with changing orchestration and, you know, a final hurrah at the end. This piece was fortunate enough to be performed by the Pershing Zone United States Army Band when they performed at Messiah University in September. I programmed it with my ensemble shortly after because of the fact that GHCB, the Greater Harrisburg Concert Band, performs outside. There wasn't really going to be a chance for me to have an actual good performance recording. Even when they perform in churches, it wouldn't be that great, just because of the acoustics and where they are and the sound. And so I decided I have to do this with my group as well. It ended up being one of my group's favorite pieces, which is always a good thing as a conductor who's a composer, to feel like they're performing something that you composed, but they love it nonetheless. There's that nice connection, this collegialship between myself and my students, and respect that goes both ways. So it's really fun to have that. So I hope that if you're looking for something that is short, that is not really difficult, if I were to put it on a grade level for the typical grade system, which I really don't believe in, which I'll talk about in another video, it's probably a grade 4. And maybe a grade 5 because some of the woodwind tricky patterns that happen in there, but a grade 4. So if you're looking for something that's brief, short, powerful, and fun, that the kids seem to enjoy to play, and yet has been composed with the intent of creating an interesting piece that is attainable for the listener and the performer, Tarantella may be your piece.